Welcome to the show. It's time to unwind with Dave B and Dave D, the best brews you'll find. Craft beer talk, it's a passion we share. From hops to malts, we're taking you there. This is Daftaboutcraft, where the good times flow. Sit back and relax, let the flavors glow. Brews, news, and views, we've got it all right. Cheers to craft beer, let's raise it tonight.
Daftaboutcraft, the craft beer podcast.
Welcome to Daftaboutcraft, the craft beer podcast. We're back. It's me, Dave D.
And me, Dave B.
Welcome to episode 81. Hopefully you enjoyed our special bonus episode a few weeks ago with Hobson's, but we're back with a full episode crammed to the rafters of all sorts of beer goodness. What have we got, Dave?
We did chat to Dale and David from Deadweight, who featured a long time ago as a brew to me for myself, but they've been steadily honing their craft ever since and putting out very nice beers. And it was a very good chat, wasn't it?
Really enjoyable, really sort of got to the nuts and bolts of what they do. And we really enjoyed the beers as well. They were great, weren't they?
Mm.
So got that coming up. I checked with Deadweight. They're from Warwickshire, if you've not heard of them. And they're very small, so there's a good chance you won't have heard of them. We're doing some Hype or Tripe as well, Dave.
Rolling Papers, which is one of my, in a sea of pales, as we often talk about, one of the ones that I do like, and I will, if I see it somewhere, will happily have it. And that's from Bull House in Belfast. And they, like a lot of breweries, have done a few iterations of the beer. So we got in touch with them. Couldn't have been more helpful as a brewery.
We're going to go on a rant. Several rants, in actual fact. We've got several rants for you coming up. That'll be good. We've got tried and tested, and I'm doing a from the fridge, but we're going to kick it off with a brew to me from you, Dave. Where are you heading to?
I'm heading down to London. Brewery in question here is Three Locks from Camden Market. They are based down on the Riverside. Three Locks specialise in German beers, which is right up my Strasse. However, the beer I'm having is not a German beer because when I spoke to Nick at Three Locks, the beer he wanted us to, or myself, to road test was Aussie, which is an Australian IPA, weighing in at 6.66%. It's Australian hopped and it is Eclipse, Galaxy and Enigma. It's quite punchy, I think.
Obviously, you see a lot of New Zealand pales around these days with New Zealand hops, but you don't see many beers branded as Australian IPAs.
No, and Galaxy we've tested at length on previous episodes. We're sort of quite familiar with what we should be getting from that. Enigma and Eclipse, I'd be fairly familiar with. Eclipse, probably less so, I think. Of the three, that'd be the one I'd know the least about. I'm actually in natural light today, so that's a fair representation of what I've got there.
Sort of marmalade-y colour.
Yes, that would be bang on. Marmalade-y colour. The can, which was a 330, has poured out nice and opaque, no head. That dissipated very quickly. A little bit of a marmalade-y nose, actually. A little bit marmalade, a little bit Galaxy. There's a little bit of sweatiness in there, I think. Okay. Wow. That's quite powerful. It's pretty full. It's quite bitter. The fruitiness comes in at the end. The Galaxy is there right in the middle. Quite a lot of Galaxy, I would say. Certainly for my palate. That would be quite dangerous, I think, in their tap room. That is nice. It would be quite dangerous in a pint, I think.
Yeah. Well, all their beers come in 330ml cans. Sounds like that's quite a good job.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much if it was sort of their lower ABV stuff. I know Nick very kindly sent me a selection. I know there's things like a Schwarzbier in there. There's a Hefeweiss. You've got the Goes. I sent you the Goes.
I've actually been to their tap room as well. Start of the year, it is a lovely tap room, right on the side of the canal. We sat outside and it started to absolutely hammer it down with rain. So we went inside. But it's a lovely building, lovely, friendly people as well.
It's probably coming to the time of year as well where it comes into its own as well.
Imagine that in the summer, on a summer evening. It'd be absolutely rammed. Definitely worth a visit if you're in that area. Loads of breweries around there as well. So Werewolf is nearby, obviously Camden, and various other ones as well. I was impressed with their beers. Sounds like you are as well.
I'm impressed so far. We can hear from Nick now to just tell us a bit more about the beer itself and also Three Locks and its accompanying characters.
Hi, I'm Nick from Three Locks Brewery. So we're a microbrewery based down in Camden Market, and we're known for our German-style beers, such as the Hefeweizen, our Schwarz beer, our seasonal gozes, and our lagers. But we also cover hazies, West Coasts, stouts, and experimental NEPAs. We like to mix it up during the summer months, mainly brewing fruity sours and gozes. So we've been going for roughly 3.5 years, and since the start, we have built on our success year on year. So our tap room is located on the banks of the Regent's Canal, and it's a great place to have a beer on a warm summer's day. So if you come down on the weekend, you'll be greeted by many local characters, such as Alan the town crier and Isaac, the local artist who designed the artwork for our brand new beer, Aussie. And just to talk you through it, it's a 6.6% Australian hop NEPA, hop with Eclipse, Galaxy and Enigma. It's a lovely strong beer with a nice fruity kick to it. And to give you the backstory, we've been working with Isaac over on our last 2 special releases, sort of to add some character to our cans. And it's been very popular in the tap room so far. So if you're ever in the area, be sure to check us out. We'd be grateful to have you.
There we are. Thank you very much, Nick, for the lowdown there on Three Locks. One of the things that struck me when I was there is how big it was, because not only have you got the tap room there, I think they've got a couple of buildings either side of the tap room, and it goes back a long way. It's quite a big setup, actually. I didn't know much about them before I went, so it's nice to learn a bit more there from Nick as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll carry on with my can of Aussie. Also, fair play to Nick. It was one of the best wrapped beer boxes I think I've ever seen. I reckon you could have thrown it down the stairs from 10 floors up and it'd have survived. It was a very durable effort.
Oh, you've got to wrap your parcels up very well these days, because you never know what delivery companies are going to do to them, do you?
I think they would have struggled to get into that one for sure.
Excellent. Well, Dave's had his brew to me there, and he's still going on it. I haven't got a brew to me, but what I do have is a From the Fridge, a mystery beer presented to me. Don't know what it is. I'm going to taste it and then see if I can work out the style, the ABV, that sort of thing. And then I'll do a reveal and see if I was right or not. Right, so I've got my beer. The glass was ready poured.
It's a very good pour.
I've also got a cool bag. In the cool bag is the can or bottle or whatever it is. So I don't know what it is, but I shall unzip it and find out at the end. Nice pour. Looks sort of almost ruby in colour. Some sort of ruby ale.
Okay, that's a tough nut to crack, that.
Definitely on the more traditional side, I think.
So you don't think it's a craft brewery's interpretation of something traditional? You think it's traditional?
I think so. I don't know whether that's can or bottle in the cool bag. I'm imagining it's a bottle. It's a quite full, quite deep, fruity, bit of bitterness. Right, I'm definitely going for some sort of ruby, more traditional. I expect it to be in a bottle. 5-ish.
I don't think you can do much more than that with that kind of thing, because the hops, well, it's not going to be...
It's not like it's a hazy juice bomb or anything. Oh, well, this is very interesting. Yeah, well, right, okay. The appearances are deceptive, right, because...
Well, you got bottle, right?
I got bottle.
Oh, you're not far out.
Well, right, so the bottle is Theakston's Old Peculiar, 5.6%, but this isn't Theakston's in this bottle. I know it isn't.
Oh.
This is somebody's homebrew, and they gave it to me in a Theakston bottle.
That's very tricky. You do well to have picked that. Yeah,
how about that? So we're actually taste testing live a homebrew beer. It's quite accomplished, actually.
Okay.
I wouldn't have been surprised if it was this, but it isn't. But that's pretty good, actually. My daughter's boyfriend gave it to me, and it was something that his stepdad had brewed himself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's not bad at all, that. I'd be quite happy if I brewed that.
Never have to find out a few more details on that one then. That is very much a mystery beer.
It is. Didn't expect that, did we? Well, yeah. I don't think I failed anyway.
No.
6 out of 10, maybe.
Look, I'd say passing grade on that one, because it's very hard to identify a homebrew.
Yeah. No, that's good. I wonder what it was. I'll have to find out what it was based on, because it would have been based on something, presumably. Anyway, yeah. How's your 3 Locks coming along?
I'm trying to pace myself, mainly because I could have downed it by now, and now I'd be starting to eye up other things and quite happily drink a few. So it's very nice. I like it. The Galaxy's become a bit more pronounced. very much a thumbs up. I'm looking forward to trying the rest in my fridge.
Daftaboutcraft, powered by Craft Brew Festival.
I go rantastic here with 4 different rants. At least 2 of them are taproom related. Dave, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, time has sort of probably mellowed this one, but last month I got to go down to London for an event and made sure before going to said event that went and visited some decent beer establishments in the Hoxton area. And we went to a pub, absolutely class, and had a really nice selection. And the most telling thing, actually, was it had very nice beers at what you would not necessarily expect to be London prices, or I'm getting too conditioned to prices being too high in my local area now, which is probably something else I could rant about, but I won't here. So that was very, very good. But then what I'd done, as I always do, going somewhere different, where could I go for an actual craft brewery taproom experience? And where we were close to was Great Beyond. Now, beer itself, I had no issue with, and I get it. You're situated where you're situated, and that's your location. But my God, it was a depressing location. It was a Saturday afternoon, and it was dead inside. So we sat outside, and it was one of the sort of most depressing 45 minutes I spent. We watched what appeared to be a written-off car going into a garage to have a second life. That looked pretty dodgy. They're under a railway arch. That's fine. I've got no issue with that. And just a general locale around it. It was just a bit grubby, and I know, as I say, you can't choose where you're situated, or you can, and that's where they've gone for. And I'm sure if we'd have gone in there and it was busy, I'd have had a much more enjoyable experience. But it was all just a bit. I'd sent you a couple of days earlier when, unfortunately, tap rooms and that who are based on industrial estates that say, swing by, the sun's out, and the view it does, it's going to leave a bit to be desired. And
It's down a side street, isn't it, under a railway arch? Like you said, there isn't much of a view, and it's all a bit, I've been there.
And it wasn't a bad day weather-wise, because we'd spent time outside and everything anyway. So I feel really bad ranting about it, because it's not Great Beyond's fault. And as I say, it's not a knock on the beer at all, but the atmosphere was just, it just wasn't very exciting. And perhaps I just caught them on a bad day. If there were Great Beyond beers somewhere, I would happily try them. It wasn't a reflection on the beer, just the atmosphere.
I have been there, and I went there on a midweek night, and it was busy-ish. There was people in there. We got a pizza. You can order in from local places. We got a pizza in. It was okay, but I can imagine how it would be a bit depressing. But I can top you, because nothing is as depressing as Beak's Taproom in Lewes near Brighton on a Saturday night when you're the only person in there and they want to close because they make it very obvious. And that was my experience recently.
On a Saturday night as well.
Yeah. Saturday night at 9:30 when Google says they're open till 11 o'clock.
It's a bit worrying, really, that they're dead on a Saturday night.
It is, isn't it? Well, I'm not surprised if they treat people like that. It was, the atmosphere was so lacking. We got there, we pulled up in the car park a few weeks ago, this is. I could see that there's a couple of staff, and they were starting to clean up, and they were sort of eyeballing us thinking, oh God, you could tell they were thinking, please don't come in. We're ready to go home now. We went in, had a drink. In fact, we were with my daughter, my youngest daughter, and she really sensed the atmosphere, and she left us and went and sat back in the car again. So she got it right. That tells you plenty, doesn't it?
It's a shame. I get it. Like, if you work in the industry and you're sort of thinking, I can get away early on a Saturday night, I understand it. But at the same time, if that's when you're contracted to, and they'd know better than you, I guess, but who's to say there isn't then people coming in at 10 o'clock because they've been somewhere else?
I've been somewhere else. I've been to Abyss, which is about a mile away, which was rammed and full of really friendly people, which I also found interesting, Yeah,
that's true. I know, as an aside, that I do like Beak's beers, but whenever I see them out in the wild, I'm always a bit wary because of how expensive they are. But my understanding is that is because they put quite a hike on their pricing as a keg to buy. Like, they're not cheap to buy for a retailer, so then they have to pass it on.
Yeah, they wouldn't be. But, when you've got a captive audience in your tap room who have come to you on a Saturday night to try your beer at source, don't treat them as though they're a stain on the bottom of your shoe and you want them to go away, which is my experience was, to be honest.
And this is the problem. Nothing changes in hospitality. It's that old cliche that if someone has a good experience, they'll tell 4 people, but if they have a bad experience, I think it used to be seven people or something.
Well, we're telling hundreds, if not thousands.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You never know who's walking through your door, and that's why you've got to treat everybody with the same respect every time, no matter what day it is, no matter what time it is, because people will hear about your lack of welcome. We just felt a bit we shouldn't be there, even though it was 9:30 on a Saturday night. The beer was fine. It was fine. A lot of Beak's beers taste very similar. Nothing wrong with that. They're good at what they do, but I wouldn't be rushing back there. I'd rush to Abyss down the road instead because that was great. Right, you've got another one, Dave. Go on, go.
Yeah, so the other thing, I would say this is possibly a bit more organisational than anything. So I went to a local beer festival at the weekend and it had 20 plus beers on, quite traditional, actually very traditional. And overall, the beers weren't very exciting, but that's not necessarily the point. The point was where this beer festival happens each year is in quite a small venue. And I went 3 years ago and it was as good a weather as it was last weekend. And the outside filled up quite quickly, but they'd still got tables and chairs inside. So you could go inside if you couldn't, if you either wanted to come in or couldn't sit down. Now we got there with that in mind at the start this time. So getting seated was no problem. But once again, it filled up very quickly. But this time, there was no seating inside. And we gave up half of our table to some other people who then proceeded to try and take over it, which was annoying, but that's not my problem. My problem is if you're going to do a successful event like this, all you need to do is rather than just do free entry in this day and age, just do free tickets that people can put on their wallet and things like that. And just scan them in, and then you know when you're at capacity, so that people can still move around and just enjoy what is a small space. We'd taken Bob, and he was okay. He enjoyed himself perfectly well, but it's just the thing, and I've seen it at a couple of festivals. You just need to get a hang on the idea that it's all right saying it's free entry. That's great, no problem. You can still do free entry, but you should probably have a way of monitoring how many people are coming in, so you don't just have a packed out venue which can't necessarily hold the numbers you've attracted.
Well, it's not difficult, is it? Even if you man stands on door with a clicker and just you know how many people are in there. You know what the capacity is. When you hit that number, it's full. I'm
not necessarily going to race back there next year because if it's nice weather, you're probably going to have the same experience. And if it's not nice weather, everyone will then go inside into what is which is a similar type of space, and then it's going to be crammed again. So, just a bit of lateral thinking.
God, we're getting hard to please, Dave, aren't we? But I think as you get older and you experience more things, you become more critical. That's just the way of the world, isn't it? I've got one more rant as well. This is to do with beer awards. The Society of Independent Brewers has various awards throughout the year, and a couple of months ago there was an award for the best craft beer collaboration, I think this was. So it was a brewery and somebody else. And the one that won, and I cannot believe this, the one that won was Full Circle and Greg's, as in the sausage roll people. If ever there was the antithesis of craft beer, it was something like Greg's, who are responsible for having closed down thousands of bakeries around the country. And you give them an award for a collab with a craft brewery. That's staggering. Absolutely staggering.
The awards thing is a thing I think it aerates you more than it does me.
Yeah.
I don't get as annoyed about the awards stuff because I think it's very navel gazing and it's for the same people who feel they have to have recognition and things like that. And if that's what you're getting into it for, then more power to you. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't exactly. It's a bit like
it's not a good optic, is it?
No, it's not a good optic. That's fair. I'm trying to think of a good example off the top of my head, but it's it's a bit like a Michelin award and some sort of collab with McDonald's or something, isn't it?
It is. Well, when you think a lot of these tiny breweries do lovely collabs with local coffee houses and that sort of thing, there's so many collabs worthy of recognition, but one with Greg's, the high street billionaire bakery just sits so wrongly with me. Anyway, if you agree with any of the things we've talked about there, or you've got your own rants, let us know. Get us on the socials and drop us a note. We'd love to hear from you.
This is Daftaboutcraft, the craft beer podcast. Daftaboutcraft, you're tuned into your favorite beer podcast.
Now, we love a small brewery. We love to champion little breweries that people haven't heard of. And we've got one here. They're about to do an upgrade, but at the moment they are 65 litres, this brewery, which is... Actually, is that nano or is it the step below nano? I'm not sure. But anyway...
it's Pico. Yeah.
Pico. Yeah, this could be a Pico brewery. And the brewery in question is Deadweight Brewing from Warwickshire. Welcome to the podcast, David and Dale.
Hi. How you doing?
We're very well. Nice to have you along. We've got beers to drink. We've got loads of questions to ask. We're looking forward to it.
Yes, thanks for having us.
We do have a bit of previous with you because you have featured on the podcast before, episode 39, when we did a Brew to Me special, which was actually just over 3 years ago, start of 2023. And I think I managed to source some of your cans, possibly just ordered or something. I can't remember now. So I've had your beers, but Dave hasn't. And I remember enjoying them. I enjoyed Ajax, which I know we have got. There's one that I definitely haven't had, which is Iceberg, but we'll get to that in due course. But anyway, that was 3 years ago. What's happened in the 3 years since? Because you've been going now 7 years, I think.
God, has it been that long now?
Just over 6 years as a company, but we're just over 3 years commercially selling. So loads has changed since 2023. To be fair, that was just when we had launched the website. So that would have been the first batch of legally available cans in the UK. And yeah, since then, just growing the following, growing sales and planning a upgrade.
Growing everything but the kit up until this point.
Yeah.
Hone what you're doing before you expand a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. We've always been firm believers in slow and steady. We've both got wives and I've got kids and we've both got full-time jobs. It's really important for us just to do things within our means. It's very much a spare time endeavour at the moment, which hopefully will change. But no, absolutely. It's whilst we can, whilst you can make a mistake and it doesn't cost you thousands of pounds, you can brew something a bit out there, try different hops, try different styles, different techniques, and really get those recipes nailed with the idea that when we expand, we can then just upscale them and it'll be onto a winner, hopefully.
I do love the fact that you are so small, yet your beers are in cans and readily available to ship to people.
That was, again, a conscious decision, wasn't it?
Yeah. So presumably your beers don't sort of get out to pubs and that sort of thing. Does it all go into can?
No, so we do supply a couple of local bars in Coventry, and they tend to have kegs of pretty much everything we produce these days, I think, don't they?
Yeah.
So we probably split it at about 20 to 30% of the beer goes in cans and the rest goes out in the kegs.
Wow. So, and over that time, how many different beers have you produced?
Shall I scroll our list here?
We've got our list of, because we thought this was going to happen. A lot of beers.
Presumably,
a lot of beers.
You don't have any need or desire to produce the same beer more than a few times?
To a degree. So certain beers like Ajax that you've got there, that we always wanted something that's always going to be a go-to pale ale that we can always come back to. Aurora, our lager as well. They're just good, reliable beers that we can always go back to. So those ones, yes, they're brewed quite regularly. But then every month we always wanted to try and do something new as well. Just so we always had something. As much as it was for customers, it was also kind of for ourselves as well. Because we, obviously, the perk of making this beer is also drinking it. So we want to make sure we're making nice new stuff all the time.
Yeah, we definitely make what we want to drink.
Yeah.
Massively. But no, I think it's important for us as well to form that sort of core range from an early point so that actually going forward, when we go to, beer festivals, that sort of thing, people can go, oh, cool, I've tried that in a can before. I'll have that again. Recognisable names and brands almost, I think, with certain beers, definitely.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth there because I was thinking Aurora, Ajax. I'm guessing there's one other I want to say. Was it Rubber Dinghy? Would they be sort of the three core ones you're thinking?
We have about 5, I'd say, don't we, currently, that we kind of class as our core ones. And then Dinghy was one of them, but then we changed that recently. Like any of our very, very low percent beers, we always like to have a little bit of fun with, like being a very, very small ship or something like that. So we had Dinghy, we had
flotation device.
What else did we have? Did we do any others yet? Tugboat, I think we did
Tugboat
as well.
was one,
So just really
yeah.
small stuff. But yeah, so at some point we're going to pick one of those to be part of it. We
Yeah.
just haven't settled on which one yet.
Presumably, you're going to get a kayak and a canoe at some point as well.
But yeah,
It's
Absolutely.
probably worth
Absolutely.
touching upon actually as well. Why the big nautical theme for you guys? What's the
Tommy too?
history
Yeah.
there?
we always do appreciate the irony that we are smack in the middle of the Midlands with no water anywhere near us, and it's all nautical themed. But originally it was inspired because my dad spent most of his working life in the Navy, and then David is half Jamaican, and a lot of his family ancestry is sea captains. So it's a lot of nautical history in our families to honour that. I mean, me particularly for my dad, because he's a big beer drinker and lover as well. So it's always nice to show something for him, and same for you and your family, I suppose.
Yeah, we sort of happened upon the name quite randomly, and it was just an instant, like when you know, and we're both like, yeah, that sounds awesome. When we came across Deadweight, and then it was, the anchor's obviously going to be an awesome logo, and it's just all fell into place after, I'd say, a couple of hours of deliberation and backward and forward and figuring out.
Yeah, it's mad. It was
names.
only a couple of hours, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just all came together by the sound of it. I know we've had some people on and they've deliberated like for weeks over the name and the logo and how the brand should look and all of that sort of thing. But you got it nailed on and you've stuck with it.
Yeah, it was definitely something that it was very quick for us. I mean, it was we knew it had to be that nautical inspired thing at least, didn't we? And then, yeah, like we just said, it just all kind of fell into place very quickly.
Yeah. Although to be fair, the branding has changed quite drastically since the first bottles, when we were doing bottles way back when, we had single colour labels with the anchor on them. And now obviously we've gone to the full photo landscapes normally and very nautically inspired can art.
So you mentioned your families there. Do they taste all these beers?
As many as they can.
Yeah. As many as we can spare them. Yeah, absolutely.
And are they critical of the beers? Do they give you real honest feedback?
Yeah. My dad's definitely more into wine, but he does like beer. He's pretty blunt and he'll just go, I didn't really like that one. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. I spent, weeks. We spent weeks writing and making that, but that's fine. No problem. He's like, oh, but I really like this one.
And then on my side, Ajax was very much a beer that we originally made for my dad, because HMS Ajax was the ship he spent most time and he enjoyed his time on. So every time we brewed Ajax, it was a case of, right, I like this about it. Can you change this? Or is this the final version yet? And I'd say, we're not sure. He says, okay, good, because I think if you do this next instead. So I think Ajax went through, God, I don't know how many different versions until we settled on.
7 maybe?
Yeah, until we settled on this one.
Yeah.
I think that's important, having people around you like that who will give you that feedback to help you make the best beer you can.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something, even in the very early days, like when we were first starting out and learning how to do it, we were just sending people, all of our friends and family, beer constantly as we were trying all these normal and very abnormal styles of beer and just getting as much feedback as we could, which was, I mean, that was a great fun time as well.
Yeah.
That was when we were on the old 30-litre kit, I think, wasn't it?
That was lockdown, wasn't it?
That was during lockdown, yeah. And we basically were just doing a service to people saying, does anyone want any beer delivered?
Yeah.
You just mentioned there about learning. So are you guys not necessarily from big brewing backgrounds, sort of spent years at a brewer's knee or anything? Or how have you guys got to this stage?
Yeah, unfortunately not. No, this was an idea born out of the pub. So we had a few beers. So probably 2019, had a few beers down the pub. A work colleague of mine had a homebrew kit for Christmas, and we were just chatting about it. And we were like, we really like beer. How comes we've never tried to make it? That's mad. Let's do it. But let's get a couple of kits and we'll go on the stove and let's just try it. And I still distinctly remember the first beer was like massively overcarbonated. You opened the little swing top bottles and it fizzed all out, and we were drinking it and we were like really chuffed. It was probably awful in retrospect.
It definitely was awful in retrospect, but it didn't matter.
Yeah. And then we were like, this is really cool. Let a few people try them and they weren't sick. So that's a good start. Yeah. So we just carried on. And then it, like any hobby, snowballed to where we are now.
Bit of a different question off that. Obviously, in the time you've been doing it, beer has really changed. Craft beer has really changed. Would you start it now, knowing what you know and seeing what you've seen? Would you do this now?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And part of it, it's not just about the beer for us either, is it? It's part of it. I mean, we've been close friends since university, where, funnily, I didn't drink during university and David drank pretty much nothing but Budweiser. So our background with beer is about as bad as it can get.
Absolutely.
But we've been friends for all that time, and we live around the corner from each other. So it's just always a great excuse to get together, work together, and we just love doing it as well, don't we? It's just, brew days are always good fun. Even the tedium of the canning days and stuff, it's always just a good run, and it's doing a bit of quality control as we go, which is always great. So I'd still do it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think it's the main way we actually socialise, because of how busy we are with work and families and all that sort of thing. It's like, oh, we've got to do a brew day. Oh no. But actually we can go in a catch up after a couple of weeks and not seeing each other, and we can, do something we both really enjoy. I think I definitely do it differently. I think in terms of the kit that we bought, and it's the thing that everyone says is just buy the biggest one you can afford straight away, rather than going from like a 30 litre kit and then build it up. I'd have probably jumped into maybe
like 100 litres.
Like 100 litres.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I could tell myself something, it's save for a little bit longer and jump into that instead of being so cautious. But no, I definitely would do it again.
It's a bit of a contradiction as well, though, isn't it? Because we keep talking about how we like to keep it slow. We like to be cautious and build things slow. And then our advice to ourselves was, go bigger. Sorry.
But that's not huge.
That's
still small, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I think it's because you have gone slow and you've just gone at your own pace. That is the reason why you would still do it now, all these years later. If you had to start again now, you'd do it because you haven't put too much pressure on yourselves. That's the way I would see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, it has been stressful at times still, hasn't it? But that's mostly because of our real world jobs and stuff as well, and then trying to find time to do the brewery stuff. That's the only time it's ever really stressful. It's thinking, oh, we've actually got orders, we need to make sure we've got time to deliver these, we need to can these things.
Yeah.
But the actual brewing and stuff itself is always just enjoyable.
And it's always only what we want to make, which is fantastic. We're not slave to churning out pale ales every week left, right and centre, to a degree.
Yeah, that's started a little bit more now.
A little bit more. Now we're getting, regular keg orders. It's still very much, if we want to brew a lager, which we love to make and drink, we can. And we know we'll sell more of it in cans than we will in keg, which is fine. We'll just adjust accordingly.
You mentioned your real world there and your real jobs. Can I ask what you both do? Because this always fascinates us.
Go on.
I'll go first because mine's boring. I sell motorbikes for a living. I'm a motorcycle salesman. So if you ever want a Yamaha, really good deal. Dell's is way more interesting, to be fair.
You set it up now.
Absolutely.
So I'm self-employed and I have my own video company. So I go and do live events around the country and Europe and such, doing cameras or projection or vision mixing and all that kind of malarkey.
You're a good person to know. I like this. That could be.
Someone said that to us yesterday.
Absolutely, yeah.
Feeds the ego a bit.
Yeah. They're both very different, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think that the problem with that, though, is my work in particular, it does take, I think I've spent more time out of the country this year than in the country, which obviously makes things very difficult for keeping on the brewing schedule, which means in those situations, we obviously lean more on you, don't we? Because you're available and I haven't been. But then equally, when it does come around to summer, normally, which is where it's the quiet season from mid-July all through August, I tend to do most of it then.
Yeah.
So it's mostly swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
So does that cause any friction between the two of you when you're away, Dale, and you can't give the brewery what you might want to?
Personally, not for me, because it's always a labour of love.
We've always had different elements to contribute as well. Like David's had more time to be able to contribute, and I've had other things that I've been able to contribute more. And it's always just worked nicely. And I think there's been times where I've had to say to him, mate, I'm really sorry, but this job's come in and I can't do this. But then it'll turn out the next week I'm available to do it, so I'll go and do all the local deliveries because it works better for me to do it while I'm not away working. So it always does come back around, doesn't it?
Yeah. At
least I think so.
Yeah, no, I think so. Like I say, I'm sure my wife's rolled her eyes when I've been going out into the garage of an evening, but both our spouses understand that it's...
They do sometimes think we just use it as an excuse to go drinking together, which is only about half true.
Yeah, understanding wives are very good.
Yeah.
Do they get involved in any of the brewery side of things at all, or do they just watch from the sideline?
Hattie does some taste. My wife does some taste testing.
My wife doesn't drink, so she doesn't. But no, to be fair, it's always just naturally been, it's very much our baby together.
So, Dave, have you opened a drink yet?
Yeah, I went straight in with the iceberg, the 6% New England.
Right, okay.
Nice.
I'm going
Bold
back.
move.
I'm doing this in reverse. To start with the strongest and work back. And first of all, when I opened the can, I could smell it immediately. A couple of feet away from me, I could smell the aromas on that beer. And then when I poured it out, the colour on that beer is awesome. More orangey than yellow, but it's a deep, vibrant orange. It's so good. It looks great. And then the bit you really want to know is, does it taste good? Yes, it also tastes very good. I like it a lot. It's really good.
It's really nice to hear that. Iceberg, it's the first time we've brewed that beer, so it's nice to hear the feedback for that one.
That is the first iteration of that beer.
It is, yeah. It's one we have worked towards because we've done New England IPAs for a long time. It's been a combination of various other beers to get to that one, but that is the first attempt at that one. So I'm chuffed with that one. I think it's great.
That's one of our best beers, I think, personally speaking. The thing is, with our pale beers, it's definitely a learning curve that's taken a while to nail that sort of soft, pillowy body that we all love from that style of beer, while still maintaining enough hot bite to keep it drinkable. But I think that's something that I feel like we've really improved that in the last sort of year.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even down to Ajax that you've got now, and Dave, I think you said you had Ajax in the past as well. I mean, this newer version of Ajax, I think, is a massive improvement on that one, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's going to be hard to try and remember a beer from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But if you compare it in your brain, I think, the new version, we're really, really pleased with it.
Well, I've actually gone for Aurora, and I noticed when I checked it in 3 years ago, this beer has even changed a point in the ABV. As you say, I'm struggling to remember a beer from 3 years ago very well. I do remember I liked it, and my description, I said it was quite a dirty Pilsner to look at, and then it was quite hoppy to start and then dry. I feel like it's changed quite a lot then, if that was what I thought now, because now it is not so dry, not so hoppy. I get a bit more nutty, and I really like that. I'd say it's very much a craft Pilsner. Like, it's not a German Pilsner, and it's not a British lager or something like that. It's something in between. I think fair play. You've definitely created a craft beer in that sense for me, which sounds a bit daft, but I think hopefully you know what I mean.
That's really interesting you say that, because I know exactly what you mean. I was about to say, with this New England, it's like you've got your own twist on the style, and it sounds like that's the same, Dave.
Yeah, 100%. It's an interesting use of hops as well. It's very different hops you've got in that Pilsner, not ones you'd necessarily see that often.
Spalter.
Is it
that's the one for me.
Spalter, Tettnang, and Magnum. Magnum we chuck in, all of our sort of lagers and Westies as for bittering.
Aurora in particular, though, that one, again, has gone through a lot of changes. As you were saying as well, the original one, it was a little bit dirty. It was a little bit hazy than you'd expect for a Pilsner. Whereas obviously now it's a lot crisper. It's a lot fresher and clear, and maybe.
But I think this is the important thing that we always it's on the cans and on the website, but because we're so small and we're constantly learning, we're not, we don't profess to be experts by any means at this yet, but they're constantly evolving. We're always striving to make the recipes better. So, every time we make a batch of beer, we joke about quality control, but we will properly sit down and analyze the beers and go through them and go, look, okay, what tweaks do we want to make going forward? Because we want to make the beer the best it can be. And if it needs a huge change, we'll do a huge change. If it needs a little tweak, we'll do a little tweak.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that's true. I think some of the beers, though, we've gone through that process and now we are at that point. We're going, yep, that is it. That's not changing anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Aurora might be one of those because, I mean, like you said, it's a little bit unique. It's a little bit different, but it still is obviously a Pilsner. And that's what we really like about it. We like that it's got our own little bit of a twist on it. Yeah, it's just individual to us, it feels.
Yeah, 100%. I'd say as well, I imagine it's very, very good on keg. Feels like it would have that go back to it appeal on keg. Not that it doesn't in can, but while we've been talking, I've just got Iceberg opened as well. I can see where you're coming from with that as well, Dave. That is, that's a tremendous nose.
That is Eldorado, Nectaron, Citra.
Just those three.
Just those three in that one.
That'll be why I like it then, because I do love Nectaron.
That's our definite favourite. That's hop of the year for us so far, I think.
I think, for the last 6 months in particular, like most of our Neepers and a lot of our pales have just, we've chucked that in most of them now. Yeah, but that beer has turned out so well. That's one we are really chuffed with.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be. You've got the softness there. That is a really, really, really good New England IPA.
Thank you.
So you're talking about upscaling from 65 litres to around 300 litres.
Yeah.
But do you envisage sort of upscaling like that will create problems for you? Obviously, it'll give you more volume, but when you upscale recipes, then you get a different set of problems, I guess.
I think it'll just be maybe time constraint. Everything's going to take a little bit longer. Brew days shouldn't take that much longer realistically, because obviously the kit's more powerful. So heating is going to take about the same sort of time. Obviously canning and kegging will take longer naturally because there's more volume to do. But I think it's only going to be good. Personally, I think it's going to give us the opportunity to get the kegs out to more places. Economies of scale, we can make kegs a bit cheaper for trade, which is going to be great to get our name out there. Can't really foresee too many major issues. Maybe a bit of storage, and I'll have less garage. Yeah,
I think one of the things we have talked about with that size is at the moment we're quite happy if it comes to do solo brew days. If I'm away or if you're at work on a certain day and I can be free that day, I'll just brew by myself as well. Whereas I think on this size kit, we'd rather, at least to begin with, do it together, I think, wouldn't we? But it's going to get to a point still where we're quite happy to brew on it solo. But I think for the first few months, it's
about getting used to new
Exactly,
kit and getting the quirks, which you'll always have for all kit. But yeah, I think once we've nailed that, well, it should be easier if anything.
I'm just excited to get to it now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when is this upgrade happening then?
The golden question.
Yeah. So we've actually got half of the kit now, don't we? We've got the 3 brewing vessels. It's just the fermenters we need to upgrade to now, and we just need to get all of the power upgraded in the garage, and then we'll be good to go. So it's just time for that more than anything, isn't it? And
Yeah.
Did you go new, or did you go get from another brewery and then therefore get to have a chat to another brewery about the kit as well?
So we've known Alex up at Bayonet Brewing up in Yorkshire.
Yes.
You seem familiar, yeah. So we've
been
known
on the
Alex
podcast.
for.
I've met Alex in a car park.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
As you do.
You had a rendezvous day, didn't you, in a motorway service station car park? Yes.
We did, yep.
I mean, that sounds like a story. And
Yeah.
So did you go up there and see his setup as well?
We did a collab with him a couple of years ago, and we met up with him at BeerX one year. And then he was upgrading and sort of just dropped us a message and said, look, I'm give you first refusal. So we've got 2 of his vessels. And then our mash tun it is actually new. It's never been used, but that was from a local brewery that was surplus to requirements. I think the fermenters will probably try and get new if we can.
Yeah.
But it's down to a few things, a few factors.
Yeah, but it was nice going back to what you were saying though, that we have a little bit, even if it's only a day's worth essentially of experience on Alex's brew kit. So we got to see it all in operation. We got to brew with him, so we knew when we were buying it how it all works. We've seen it in action, so it just seemed like a no-brainer to us, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's lovely the other day because we've had some of this kit for a little while now, and we've just had it in storage, and we got it all out the other day, gave it a fresh clean and look over, and just to check what other bits and pieces we'd need for when we actually do start using it. And there was just a level of satisfaction of getting it out, putting it actually in the garage as well, seeing how we're going to position things, how we're going to work everything, and
put it next to the current kit, and it absolutely dwarfs it.
which isn't difficult really, is it?
No.
It leads to a question, actually. The current kit, will then you be giving that to someone else to get them on the road to get going? Or are you going to keep it in perpetuity? Or
I think we'll keep it.
I think it's going to be sentimental. I think, yeah. And to be fair, it could be a pilot kit.
Yeah.
It is pretty small, even for a pilot kit. But if we want to try something really out there, it would be sensible. But I think when we get our own brewery in tap room one day, I think we'll mount it on the wall or something.
So is that the dream then?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, the dream is to do it full time, brewery and tap room. Nothing, we don't want to go massive, but just enough so we're comfortable and, employ a couple of people. It's busy and making good beer and living the dream, I think.
Yeah, we're under no illusions that the beer industry isn't in the best place as well. So we know this kind of thing, it might seem like a bit of a pipe dream, but it's something that's still massively achievable as long as we do it very sensibly. And we've also got, I still have my business running parallel at the moment, which can continue. The relationship you have with your work at the moment is absolutely fantastic as well. Yeah. So we've always got that support, which is lovely. But yeah, we do want to do the brewery full time if we can.
It feels like that's probably about the best model now as well, as the way the industry stands. If you can get a brewery tap and you can service your local community and whatnot and get a following there. That's probably how you keep going and grow to a certain point where you're not going to take over the world.
We don't need or want to get that big. Absolutely not. Because you then go away. Because, let's be under no illusions. Brewdog were massive influences for us back in 2018, 2019.
It feels dirty to say now, though, as well.
But the thing is, it was a gateway. Yeah, but it was a gateway. And back then, all of these, when you first tried Punk IPA and when you'd only been drinking Doom Bar, it was like, what the hell is this? And, the excitement when you found a new Brewdog or Vocation or Thornbridge beer on the shelf.
Yeah.
Thornbridge is still probably our favourite brewery, and we normally make a point to go to Bakewell every year and go and have pizza and beer and at Thornbridge Brewery, and it's awesome. And even that's a bit too big for us, I think.
I think that's more than a bit too big.
Yeah.
I think that's not our aspirations when we get to that size.
No, but they're still doing it right. They're still making really exciting different beers with different kit, and they're still very true to themselves. The pizzas are fantastic and the beer is fantastic.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because Thornbridge is such a cracking brewery, but it's not really a big craft beer place, is it? It's like it's more of just it's an ale. There's some like kind of craft beer elements to it, but we still love that stuff. It's still fantastic.
Yeah.
But you just touched on it there, with the news recently of Brewdog, and it seems we go through these phases of lots of breweries closing and a lot of bad news, and bottle shops are shutting and bars are shutting. When you see all this, what's your take on it all? Does it worry you? I think you're probably at the size where it doesn't need to worry you. You can just crack on with what you're doing and it doesn't matter.
I don't think it tempers the enthusiasm to expand. I think it does sometimes give a little bit of a reality check though. And it's just enough to go, okay, we are doing this right. Because, I think me more so than you, a lot of the time, I get quite over-eager and thinking, let's expand, let's just make this big jump, let's do this. Let's spend all this money. And then, thankfully, it's kind of a role reverse compared to real life. Yeah, you then reel it's in this situation, which is I think very much needed.
Definitely. I think it's reassurance that actually, with us expanding still in the garage, that's the sensible way of doing it. Hopefully then the economy will stabilise a bit and things will pick up, and then at that point we can go, do you know what, now we're ready to make the jump and go to a premises and do get the tap room that Nuneaton or wherever desperately needs, because there's absolutely nothing.
It's weird, isn't it, how you get these pockets where there's lots of activity beer-wise that are the sort of dead zones. Why is Nuneaton a dead zone?
I think it's massively run down and underfunded. It's the clientele, essentially, isn't it? They're not craft beer drinkers.
Which there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. No. People like what they like, and it's just craft beer isn't necessarily the big thing here.
Coventry, you've got a few more.
We've built so many nice relationships in Coventry, though.
Yeah.
All the bars that are serving our beer are in Coventry. So I like Coventry. Because of the size of the kit we operate on, it's just so hard to be able to produce enough kegs to go to multiple places. So we very much just try and keep our local clientele happy and be able to constantly stock them. And it's nice that we do receive messages constantly from them saying, right, what have you got? Is this available yet? And so it's nice to have that constant to churn out. But we would love to go a little bit further afield. And that's the biggest thing with the kit upgrade. It's just being able to expand into Birmingham and a little bit further out as well.
Yeah. And to supply more places in Coventry. There's like Dale said, we're part of the Coventry Craft Beer Crawl. 5 venues in total on it. So it would be nice to actually be able to regularly supply all of them, whereas we can only supply a couple of them at the moment.
And that leads very nicely onto Craft Brew Festival, which you'll be pouring out this summer.
Yeah, we're doing Manchester and Nottingham. We'd love to have done Birmingham, but we just couldn't get the dates to work, unfortunately.
That's my fault again.
But it's fine. But yeah, Nottingham and Manchester, we're really, really excited.
The thing is about any beer festival, it's a great showcase for your beers. Very few people there will have heard of you, with the greatest respect. And that's what you want, to showcase those beers to a completely new audience. And you can watch them drink it and get their reaction in real time.
Yeah, we are really, really excited to come and be part of that. It's proper first step for us into that scene, isn't it, as well? Yeah. So I think one of the most exciting things for us has actually been talking about which beers we want to do as well.
Yeah.
It's just nice thinking about what can we do to stand out? What should we produce for it? It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
4 beers, is it?
3 or 4, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, we can do a rotation throughout the day. But I think it's going to be definitely made up of, mostly core beers. I think that makes sense to showcase. They're going to be our best recipes, and the best possible beers is what we need to take with us. Yeah, excited to get Paradise Island and Aurora and Ajax out there to the masses.
And you mentioned earlier on that you still have that sort of capability to do those and get them out to the best of your ability, etc. But what's hopefully coming up in your minds or in tank or whatever that you're thinking of brewing that's a bit different over the next couple of months? Have you got sort of other things you're working on?
We did a series of Belgian beers, and they were probably some of my favourite beers we've ever made. So, and we did what percentages were they now? One was 8%.
1.7 and 1.5.
So I'd like to do another series of Belgian beers because I just enjoyed them so much. And I think another thing for us was doing an Imperial Stout again, because we haven't touched one of those for a little while now. And it's always a favourite style of ours. So I'd love to actually have another go at one.
We've got a dipper that we've made a few times, Tiberius, which we'll definitely be making a show again soon. That's sort of long overdue to be brewed.
The thing is, we do love doing the strong stuff. I mean, I think some of our favourite beers we've ever made has been the Imperial Stout, the Tiberius, our double IPA, and some of our really strong Westies we've done as well. They're always some of our favourites.
Yeah. And that was probably one of our favourite can art as well. With we made a Westie called Oh Boy, and it was just a little boy, and it was really had a little happy smiley face on it, and it was just really tongue in cheek. And we made that for our first commercial birthday, so 2023, November 23. That would have been first made.
Yeah, we need to do that again. Yeah, I love that one.
That went down really well. That was a proper sort of traditional orange,
really strong Westie.
Yeah.
In sours,
I don't like sours. I'm not a sour beer drinker. For me. And I know I'm going to upset a lot of people here, but I think beer should taste like beer.
I do enjoy the odd one, but it's nothing I'm passionate enough about to really push. And I don't really want to try and brew one. I'm happy for the likes of Vault City to do that really well.
I don't know if I'd even class you as a big sour drinker anymore now, Dave.
I used to love a sour, but now I find that the more commercial ones really get on my nerves. I used to love Vault City, I used to love Azvex, and now I just find all these silly fruit salads, green-coloured beers and blue beers just bonkers, and I'd much rather have a lambic or something.
Yeah, this is something that used to drive me absolutely mad. It's when you look at a beer description and it was a chocolate chip with marshmallows and pancakes and golden syrup flavoured sour, and you think, why is there so many things listed here? This is ridiculous. And how many things can I actually taste here? None of them. I can just taste sour.
This has always been my problem with beer across the board with craft beer, especially. If you're going to tell me the beer taste of something, it better taste of it. Otherwise, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, going back to what you were just saying as well about Vault City, I personally now have become more of a fan of Vault City, but not for their sours, it's just for their stouts.
Oh, their stouts are exceptional. Yeah.
Their stouts are actually superb, aren't they? They're so good. I was going to ask you about your influences and breweries that have been an inspiration to you. Vault City, one of those then?
Personally, I think they've been really an inspiration, and that's with no disrespect. They do what they do fantastically. I think we enjoy drinking them, absolutely. I think, like we said earlier, you hark back to Brewdog back in the day, to Vocation, to Thornbridge.
Forest Road was one for us as well because of they were just very good as well to us initially, weren't they, when we were starting? Because David has a Instagram page as well where he used to be quite hot on it, where he reviewed beers, did some great pictures and stuff. But it meant you actually reached out to a lot of breweries, and a lot of breweries just reached out to you. And Forest Road were a particularly good one that were just very helpful to us as well in the early days. One I'd like to personally mention as well is a Yorkshire brewery. It's a very small brewery called Little Black Dog, and it's owned by a chap called Nigel Cott. And he's an AV technician, same as me, and he started his brewery years before we did, and he owns a pub there and everything. But when we had the idea to do this, he was probably the most helpful person. He sent us all of his documents about how he got things started. Nothing was too much trouble, like when we were on the phone with him, we just saying, yep, do this. All the legalities, he helped us through all of that. So he was definitely
massive.
A huge help and influence, not necessarily in the style of beer, but just in being such a good person to help with the brewery. And I think in general, I found that that's quite a common thing in the craft beer world. People have been so friendly and helpful and not as guarded as you'd think. People have just wanted to help and see other, at least in the circle we've worked with, people have just wanted to see you succeed, which has always been really nice.
Definitely. I think especially a shout out to Richard Twisted Barrel, because he gave us our first big brewery collab. And he has just been absolutely invaluable in terms of stocking our beer. And, we did our first Meet the Brewer with him, with his homebrew club, who are also, they're an awesome group of guys.
Always just happy to see us when we're there, and always invite us to everything, which is so nice.
Yeah. And then likewise, Noel at Triumph Brew House again, massive supporter, and we did a brew with him, and he's a proper character, and he's really helped us out as well.
Anyway, we should ask the question we usually ask at this point. Where would you like to be in sort of 1, 2, 3, 5 years' time? How do you see the future panning out for Deadweight?
1 year is quite easy. 1 year is the new kit, fully up and running, properly road tested, and producing the beer to same, if not better standard that we're doing now.
And getting it out to, I think still, for me, I'd still be happy if we were just in the greater Warwickshire, Leicestershire region, Staffordshire region, and I'm not too worried initially about going too far afield. I think as long as we can get out consistently, that's the main thing. And then looking into sort of 3 years, I'd hope by that point we'd be part-time, but in a premises with a tap room. So reducing real life work and actually getting paid by the brewery would be nice.
5 years is just expanding on that, really, isn't it? That is fully up and running, operational and going well. I mean, what more can you ask for than that? And getting to a point where either we want to fully give up work and just focus on that, or to a point where we're just happy with how it's running. Feels like a bit of a cop-out answer.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's actually probably one of the most measured answers we've had in response to that question. I think it just shows your ethos coming through as a brewery, and also probably more importantly now more than ever as a business. You can see what you want to do, but you're going to take very realistic steps. And also the main thing is you've got the product. The beers are really, really good. Can't speak highly enough of them. So that when you can put them to a wider audience, I think word will get out quick.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Well, I would hope that we can come and speak to you again in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and this plan will happen because it feels like everything is in place too.
I think because it's so measured and you're taking it step by step by step, there's a lot of pressure out there these days. And I do think sometimes businesses, breweries get swept along a little bit in the sort of hysteria of it all, but you really seem really grounded. And no matter what's happening, you've got your plan in your mind and you seem to be sticking with it. And I think that's really important.
I think that's a mixture of, upbringing. We're both very grounded, very humble. I think realistic. I think I've always been taught to not live beyond your means, and if you're going to try something, give it a good go, but don't go too big too quick. And I think also both having wives and I've got kids, there's a lot to consider. It's not just, if we were two single blokes, we probably would have actually already done it, but there's a lot more behind you that you've got to think about and worry about. So everything has to be just step by step, isn't it?
Under no circumstances, people shouldn't believe that we are not serious about the brewery, because we are.
Oh, yeah,
we
massively.
Absolutely love every element of it, and we do want to keep pushing it forward. It's just at our own pace, and we're happy with it that way, aren't we?
Yeah, and that's almost another reason to do it slightly, because actually then we can grow it carefully and nurture it rather than just go Brewdog. Go massive and then...
Is that going to be a new term now? Go full Brewdog?
Go full Brewdog. Yeah, that's not the plan at all. The opposite of that.
I've been really impressed. I've just drunk Ajax as well. Also very, very good. Very soft. It's another great beer. Because I remember when Dave had them on the podcast before, they were good. What generally happens is these beers get refined over time, and
you can taste the evolution, which sounds so awful. I'm annoyed by
that's a proper soundbite, that is.
That's so nice for us to hear as well. That's
Deadweight Brewing, taste the evolution.
It's so nice for us to hear that, isn't it? Because Ajax is a great example. It's gone through so much work and love and effort and hate occasionally. And for it to get to that point now, and where people can even taste, that's an improvement, or you can tell that that's a well-progressed bit. It's so gratifying, isn't it?
Really tough with that.
Beers we produce, it has to be beers that we want to drink.
Yeah.
And if our core pale ale can be something that we just want to drink over and over again, then we've succeeded then.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like Ajax has become now, which I'm over the moon with.
Yeah. And it's got to be easy to ask for a pint of.
I would hope in 5 years' time there is a Deadweight Brewing tap in either Nuneaton or Coventry, and you're both deciding whether you want to work at your other jobs or not.
Sounds good. Sign me up.
Okay, well, you've heard the music, and that means it's time for Tried and Tested, our favourite beer since we last spoke to you. Dave, what have you been enjoying the most?
As increasingly is the case, you and I were talking about it, especially with your trip to Nuremberg, where you had a lot of beer and didn't check any of it in. This isn't the highest beer I've had since we last spoke rating-wise, but it is the one I remember the most. and it was at the Swan at Stratford St Mary, who continue to get in a good selection of German and Belgian beer. And this is from Brasserie de la Seine, who I've had their beers before, but I've not had Saison de Mayboom, which is 5.2% Saison. And it is fruity. And I really didn't... I don't know that I've had a Belgian beer which has ever tasted this fruity. And this beer would easily stack up with hazy pales and that are out there, but it was sufficiently different. It had a slightly musty quality to it. Someone who had reviewed it said pink elastoplast, which is a different thing.
That almost leads itself to another rant. That does.
It does.
Come on.
It does. But anyway, I thought this was very, very good. They say it's use of forgotten hop varieties in the south of Germany they've used, and they describe it as notes of ripe pear, citrus, bergamot, kumquats, and rustic cereals and wild flowers. And to be honest, although all that sounds a bit OTT, I can see where they're coming from. There was that kind of stewed fruit with mustiness, which actually doesn't sound that appealing, but actually really works. It's just a beer that I remember I would have again. I think I did have again. I think I had 2 halves of it, which is unusual. If it's there and the next time I go there, I'll have it again.
My tried and tested is Cloudwater. It's a beer from Cloudwater. We do a fair bit of Cloudwater bashing from time to time on the podcast, but credit where it's due, their 11th birthday Imperial Stout, which I had some weeks ago, was really good. And I think this is where they excel now. This is what they do really well, and it's their stouts, their big stouts. Pales, they're a bit wishy-washy these days. Dippers, tippers, usually too sweet. And their Chubbles was a good example. I had a couple of varieties of Chubbles and it was fine. It wasn't great. But their 11th birthday Imperial Stout's just top draw. Really, really impressive. So it's nice to know that Cloudwater can still knock certain beers out the park.
Daftaboutcraft.
Okay, something we started on our last episode was booze bargains. Not to be confused with the popular high street purveyor of booze, which is basically us highlighting an offer or a deal that's really good and really appeals. Dave, what have you got this time?
So 2 things, and then I'll go a little bit meta, which is a bit weird. But so the first thing is what I noticed a lot of people getting very excited about was Asda are doing 5 for £10. So easy math, £2 a can or a bottle, which is very impressive, especially when you consider some of the breweries that are involved in the offer. Does make you wonder how much they've had to pay for it in the first place. But anyway, I think I've had all the beers now. Best one that was part of it was a Bullhouse beer. And then I tried Full Circle, who've already come under a little bit of fire in this episode, which is their Looper beer, which I've had plenty of, always enjoyed. The ones I had weren't particularly pleasant. And overall, I was underwhelmed. It sort of tasted like £2 a can, to be honest, with the honourable exception of Bullhouse. So it wasn't that good a deal for me, but I've seen lots of pictures of people on socials where they've sort of shown their haul, and there's actually some all right looking stuff. So I'm possibly a bit unlucky with my local Asda.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of regional variants with all these supermarkets, to be honest. You can go into one Marks and Spencer's and find a wonderful selection, and you go into another and there's like 2 cans. It varies a lot. I haven't done the Asda thing yet. I need to do that and have a look, but it sounds like you weren't massively impressed anyway.
No, I wasn't, unfortunately. But that then leads me into... I wanted to get some more beer in because probably don't place nearly as many... Well, I don't place nearly as many orders as I used to, and I wanted to fill my fridge up a bit. And you and I were going back and forth as to who I should order from, and in the end I decided to order from the Colonel. I got 13 beers from them, and it cost me just over £60, but £8 of that, possibly £8.50, was postage. But I notice now, unfortunately, the going rate, rather than it used to be generally £6, has now crept up to about £8. And I just wonder, as pleased as I am that I've got my Colonel beers, and even when you add that in, it's still working out at less than £5 a bottle. I wonder now, is this where your local bottle shop needs to start excelling? Because I have a very good one in Ipswich in Hopsters who get frequent mentions, but I wouldn't have gone in and bought a lot of beer from them in one hit for quite a long time now. But I could go in and I could come out with a lot of beers, and it's not going to cost me £8.50 to drive into Ipswich. So is there an argument here that bottle shops need to start taking advantage of this situation?
Yeah, I know a lot of breweries that are having to absorb postage costs, even though you're paying £8.50. Their actual bill may be 12 quid and they're still subsidising it. It's just a ridiculous cost of transporting beers now.
Which isn't right. I don't know what the answer is, but it feels like there's some opportunity to be had there.
Well, my booze bargain is the Thornbridge subscription box. I haven't done this, but I'm very tempted to. 20 quid, and that gets you 6 cans each month. Postage is on top. Again, it's the postage thing here that could be the deal breaker for some people. But so you get your 6 cans for 20 quid a month, but then you also get 15% off subsequent orders, free delivery on subsequent orders over £30. You get early access to certain releases, a member's badge, all this sort of thing. And you can skip a month or pause it, or there's quite a bit of flexibility. I thought for 20 quid a month, that's pretty good if you like your Thornbridge beers. And they're very solid, aren't they?
It just depends what's going to be in there. Because if it's going to be the same old faces turning up each month, another 2-3 cans of that, and then something special, and then 2 middling. Yeah, for 20 quid it's okay, but if you suddenly end up with a fridge full of Jaipur because it just keeps turning up each month.
I think they do tell you beforehand what you're going to get. With this, you do get notice, and then you can pause it if you don't fancy it that month. So yeah, subscription box from Thornbridge looks pretty good value.
And now it's time for Hype or Tripe.
One of our favourite podcast features is Hype or Tripe, and it's one of yours as well. And when you hear this music, you know it's time. So this is where we put a beer under the spotlight to see if it's as good as we have heard it is. And we've got a series of beers, Dave, which is something we do sometimes, and we can get quite annoyed by series of beers because they're often all the same with a few subtle tweaks. But we're quite hopeful about these 4.
Yeah, we are. There probably were more obvious Hype or Tripe candidates, but to be honest, I think we both get a bit tired of those ones now. And as you say, we've got a series here, and they are from Bullhouse. And if you've not had any Bullhouse beers before, then you really should, because they're very good at what they do. And their flagship beer is Rolling Papers, which is a 5.2% hazy pale. And as Dave said, they've done some different versions of it. Now, these can be a bit problematic. We don't always like them, although we didn't mind when we last did this with Twisted Barrel's Pixel series. We quite enjoyed those, so fingers crossed we can keep it going with the Rolling Papers series. They've got the original, and then there's 3 other beers but we'll get to, but it's probably only right to start with the original.
Bizarrely, I don't think I've had this beer before, and it's a really well-known hazy craft beer, isn't it? A lot of people have heard of it, and you see it a lot.
I wonder if you see it quite as much over here as we think, because I have had it. I've ordered it before. I have found it out in the wild before, but it's still quite exciting when I do find it, either on keg or in a can, because it's not that available, but it obviously is in Northern Ireland, which is where Bullhouse are based, in Belfast.
I've opened the beer. There's a lot of fruit going on there for me. Really fruity.
Yeah, they don't have the hops on here. My suspicion is it's a boatload of Citra, and I don't know if there's too many other ones in there. But when it's like that, there doesn't need to be.
No, not at all. It really sings on its own, doesn't it? That's really good.
It's quite a simple beer, but as you say, it's very fruity. It's a little bit of a throwback now, because it is a beer that's been around quite a few years now, actually, and it does sort of taste of that era when a lot of people probably took a little bit more time chucking out their 5% pales, and they were just that bit better, that bit more rounded, a bit fruity, a bit fuller. That's as good as I remember it, and I wouldn't have had it for at least a couple of years, I suspect, and it's still as good as I remember.
When you drink it, does it remind you of the last time you drank it?
2 occasions that I can remember having it, because it was in a bar in Ipswich, and I was very excited and said everyone should get it because they had tins of it, and this was before this bar went a bit more rubbish, and each tin was about 7 or 8 quid, which back then was quite a lot for a tin like that. And the other time is one of the many orders that we did during COVID times. I'm pretty sure I did a Bullhouse order in COVID.
That's interesting, isn't it? That you can pretty much remember exactly when you had it, because there wouldn't be many beers like that.
No.
But yeah, that really ticks a lot of boxes for me. I like that.
It's good, isn't it? On the back of the can, they say fresh, hazy, hoppy, soft. You can't really argue with that description at all. Mine's going down at a rate of knots. It's just a lovely beer to enjoy.
Yeah, little to no bitterness there either.
Yeah, and it's worth, just while we're talking, before we get on to a couple of different beers, but would you care to guess how much a can of rolling papers will set you back direct.
Well, when you said you'd paid £7 or £8 back in the day, and that's a few years ago now, that's a lot of money, isn't it? I'm going to say £4.50 a can.
£3.80.
Wow.
It's not in isolation because the hoppy lager, which we're going to try, £3.85.
Wow.
Easy rolling, the hazy pale, £3.80, and the dipper is only £5.10.
Right, let's do a little quick comparisons. Their flagship beer is, what did you say, £3.85?
£3.80.
£3.80. Just have a little look at Steady Rolling Man from Dare. Let's do a little comparison. And I don't know what the answer is, but I suspect that's going to be more around £5 a can. Straight from the source.
Right, I'm on it. Let's have a look. Because Steady Rolling Man, £4.50.
Okay, that's not bad then, actually. That's not bad.
It's not too bad, is it?
But it's still, that's a fantastic bargain at £3.80. Wow.
And yeah, Daya are just going to get the comparison here because we're on there. But to be fair, their pails aren't too bad. They're a little bit more. Once you start going up in the ABV, then...
Have they got a dipper in there at the moment?
They do. They have that one's a collab. They've got one of their saturated beers. God, I used to love this. I probably still do, but just I wouldn't have had one in so long. Now, this is just going very off topic here. There is a can, but it's Tripping Animals, that's why. There's a beer called Infinite Haze, which is a collab with Daya and Tripping Animals, who are US, so it's a US size can. It's only a 7.2% IPA.
If that's a US size can, I'm going to presume that's been shipped over from America then.
It must have been because they want £11 a can on their website.
Yeah, that must have been. Wow. For anybody listening to this who thinks, I bet these two orcs get loads of beers for free, we do get some beers for free. These were free from Bullhouse very kindly. We still do buy a lot of our own beers, and we'll often go to breweries who've been on the podcast and put orders in with them because we like to support them. But the thought of paying £11 for one can of beer these days, which we have done in the past, we just don't do it now.
No, I touched on it earlier, didn't I? In Booze Bargains about placing an order with a Colonel and had it not been for the postage, I'd have thought I got a very reasonable deal. Now, to be fair, you could place a Bullhouse order, and I'm just looking here. So those 4 beers that we're sampling, essentially, if you just round it up, roughly you've got £17 worth of beer. Well, that's what you got to pay to get these 4 cans. But every beer on the website is in this bracket.
Now, if that was me or you putting an order in, we'd put in an order for every one, probably.
And that's the thing, we've got a lot of beers. You could place an order for nearly 20 beers, and I think the most expensive one I can see, so it's all averaging about $4 to $4.50 a can. The most expensive one you'd have to pay for is a whiskey barrel-aged stout, and that's £6.50.
Still a good deal.
So you could probably buy their whole lot, I'm guessing, for under £80.
And then you're probably over the postage threshold as well, I guess. So you're getting free postage.
I would have thought so. And there's other things. That Hoppy Days, that's one of those beers that I mentioned from Booze Bargains that I got in Asda. Admittedly, I could now buy it cheaper there, but you can get it from them, a 12-pack for £30.
Pretty good, isn't it? What's that, £2.50 a can, is it? What we're going to do next, you're going to go the Keep Rolling, which is the hoppy lager. And shall I go Easy Rolling, which is the hazy pale?
Let's see what they're saying, because it'd be interesting to see. As obviously you're not quite as familiar with that beer, but now you get to see what the...
Yeah, I'm interested.
The 4.2% version is like, and they've used exactly the same description on the back: hazy, fresh, hoppy, soft. Whereas mine is now bright, clean, hoppy, and crisp.
So because this is a hazy pale as opposed to a hazy IPA, I'm thinking this should be even more easy drinking.
Yeah, it should be, shouldn't it? I mean, that has barely any bitterness, but this should have even less. A little bit less body as well, probably.
So straight away, yeah, there is no bitterness at all with that. And it is a lot lighter as well.
Okay. Do you still think it would be probably the same hops on show?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was single hop again.
If you'd have had that before you'd have had Rolling Papers, would you be slightly disappointed? Well, not disappointed, that's not fair, but would you think, okay, it's all right, but...
I think there's probably just a bit more going on with Rolling Papers. This is like, tell you what this tastes like, the diet version.
Which makes sense. That's kind of what it should be, really. Wow, the lager's really different. I mean, as it should be. That sounds really dense of me to say, but the nose is, it's not very lagery almost, because they've said it's a hoppy one.
It looks like a lager in the glass there.
It is, and it's very lively, but it's got a very sweaty nose.
That's interesting.
Okay.
So now does it taste like a lager?
It does, but it tastes, it's somewhere in the hoppy lager IPL territory. It's not a Pilsner. God, it's really full. And the fullness at the end is quite bitter as well, like German bitter. It's quite an interesting beer, actually. Not at all what I expected.
Well, I mean, they describe it as a hoppy lager, so it sounds like it's fulfilling the brief. But tasting that, can you link that in any way to the original Rolling Papers beer?
No.
Does it just taste like an interesting lager, and that's it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there is a way to link it. And no, not for me. I think I don't know what the science would be, what the connecting tissue is, but there doesn't feel like there's lots there because it's so different. I can't really put the two together. It obviously makes more sense to go for the diet version as you've had, and then the full fat, which would be the dipper. You can work that out. This is a departure off it. I'm sure there's something like it might be the same hops, which we're not sure about, in there, although I think there's been some additions because the finish is really different. It's mellowing a little bit now. But I suppose the bitterness at the end is now just starting to taste like normal Rolling Papers.
Okay, that's true. So that little bit of bitterness, yeah, that could be the link.
I don't dislike it at all. It's quite a different beer.
To be honest, you want a lager to be a little bit different because they can all taste the same, can't they?
They can, although at the moment I've fallen upon the fact that in my weekly shop I just seem to always get 4 cans of Augustina, and I'm quite happy about that every week.
I know when you're drinking this, you're drinking it when you're cooking, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you're going to buy a beer to cook with, that's a great one. It really is. Isn't it? It's just easy.
Do it for that, or it's like the first beer I have if I'm having a couple in an evening every time. And like the quality never changes. It's always exactly the same beer. I probably would drop off buying it as much in the winter, but right now for the next few months, I suspect it's just going to keep happening.
So, like your Agostina, you find that completely unchallenging to drink. You'll just drink it without even thinking about it. I get the impression that this lager takes more thinking about.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on to this. I think they could have just taken this out of the series and they could just say that they've got a hoppy lager. And I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. And I'd try it and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's quite different.
Yeah.
I don't know if it needs to be part of this series, but at the same time, it doesn't diminish it.
Right, we're a couple of beers down. Let's have a listen to William Main, the founder of Bullhouse. Tell us a little bit about the brewery and about the beers that we're drinking.
Hi, my name is William Main. I'm the founder of Bullhouse Brew Co over in Belfast. So a bit of a background about us. I went on a trip to California back in 2011 with my brother. We visited loads of different breweries while we were there. One that stood out to me was Green Flash in San Diego, and basically really loved the beers. They had a beer called Palate Wrecker, which was like a double IPA. I'd never tasted anything like that before. Loved the community aspect to it, of people coming from all different backgrounds, from the industrial estate that they were based on. You know, you had the factory workers, you had the office workers all coming on a Friday afternoon for a beer after work. Really enjoyed that. So came back, started homebrewing, and then in about 2014, I grew up on a farm just outside Belfast. Spoke to a few other breweries who had started. I think there were about 6 or 7 breweries in Northern Ireland at that stage. They were very supportive. Bought some equipment off one of them, converted a shed on the farm, which used to be where the bull was kept, and hence the name. And it was 6 meters by 8 meters, and basically started the brewery as a hobby while I was working full time. Sort of fast forward to 2020, moved to a new site up like an industrial estate in South Belfast, which was a 6,000 square foot site, and looked like we would never fill it. And we're now at capacity at that site. Last year we produced about 3,000 hectolitres. So we're now the biggest independent brewery in Northern Ireland. And then in 2022 we opened Bullhouse East, which is our tap room, which was a first permanent tap room in Belfast. It's off-site from the production space, so it's in East Belfast. It's sort of like a satellite tap room. It's been really busy, so gone from strength to strength, and this year we're hoping to move the brewery to a new site, so there'll be hopefully an announcement coming soon on that, all being well. And yeah, so it's been slow progress at the start. Took a while to get to where we are. I think we now have about 25 staff between the brewery and the bar, so really pleased with how things have been going the last few years. I guess from an equipment point of view, we've been bootstrapped the whole way, so we've just had to cobble together bits of kit from other breweries whenever they've gone under. So it's a bit of a Frankenstein kit. Not much to look at over in South Belfast, but hopefully the new site, we're hoping to get pretty much bespoke kit designed to produce the beers that we like to make. And some of those beers then are rolling papers and the various different variants that we produce for Rolling Papers Day every year. I guess one of the other trips I went, a couple of trips to California, but on 420 went to Hippie Hill in San Francisco, loved it, and Rolling Papers, I guess, is sort of named after that. So Rolling Papers itself is a 5.2% hazy IPA, so it's, I guess, our flagship beer. It accounts for about 30 or 40% of our overall production, and it's Citra, Cryo, Strata and Talus in the dry hop. So nice, it's like pale malt, so not too light in terms of colour or body. It's sort of medium bodied, a nice glow to it, sort of nearly amber glow. And I think we swapped it out. We used to use extra pale malt and decided to swap it to pale malt just to give a bit more chewiness to it and a bit more sweetness and slightly more body as well. So for 420 then we produce variants of it. So we have King Size, which is an 8% DIPA version, and then we have Keep Rolling, which is an IPL, which is 4.8%, and Easy Rolling, which is a pale ale at 4.2%. So basically every beer is pretty much the same in terms of the dry hop, but we've got a different variant in terms of the malt and the ABV. So the lager has a touch of Vienna malt to give it a bit of breadiness. The Easy Rolling is just basically a lighter version of Rolling Papers. Hope everyone has had a chance to try the beers and enjoyed them, and hope everyone gets a chance to try our beer either in England, Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland. So yeah, thanks very much.
Well, thanks a lot, William. It's always good to hear a little sort of behind the scenes bit of information. I love that we've now learned where the name Bullhouse came from. I like that. Right, so we've poured out the double IPA. This is king size. We're going king size now, 8%. For me, on the nose there's a real correlation between that and the original Rolling Papers. It just smells a bit more of a beefy version of it, but there's definitely, you can tell the similarity is there. What about you, Dave?
I think I'm getting the same. It's not, for me, it's not quite as fruity as original Rolling Papers.
Sort of fruitiness has gone to sweetness in this version.
You might be onto something there. The first couple of sniffs or taste I got was a bit marmalady, but now it's getting a bit sweeter. I wonder if it's working for being out in the open.
So, first impressions, which has been your favourite of the series so far?
Rolling Papers.
Yeah. I think Easy Rolling for me, the slimmed down version.
That's the one I haven't tried.
Yeah.
But for me, Rolling Papers by quite a good margin.
Okay.
Which I don't think is a bad thing, because you're doing these other beers as sort of specials to go with your core beer. But if your core beer is head and shoulders above, as it is for me, I love that beer. I would have a fridge full of it.
Yeah. As time goes on, I just find that I just like beers that go down really easily. And the Easy Rolling, as the name suggests, it does go down very easily. It's very easy to drink. So the point of this part of the podcast is it hype or tripe? Rolling Papers, that's always going to be a hype for you because you love that beer. So the original is, yeah.
It is, but it's pleasing that it's not changed a jot in all the years that I've had it,
Yeah.
So yes, that's hype all the way.
Now, it just depends on the other three, doesn't it, whether it gets the hype. It's not tripe. These are very well-made beers. And I think the thing that's vexing us a little bit is a couple of these beers, the Dipper and the Lager, are a little bit challenging.
Perhaps, and that is us talking at both sides of our mouths, isn't it? Because we get annoyed if we'd have been equally, like if they'd have done the same beer and then done the 4% and then done the 8%. You just go, yeah, it's all right, but I can just tell it's an amped up version, or yeah, I can tell it's all right, but it's just a slimmed down version. These beers are different, and they're not quite Rolling Papers, nor should they be. Are they beers that I'd have again? Don't think I'd have Keep Rolling, but I'll be interested to see what you make of that. King Size, jury's still out. I'm still sort of taking my time with that one a bit, so I'm not quite ready to go either way on that one.
I think sometimes we say, oh, I wouldn't have that again. But it doesn't mean it's a bad beer. It's just, I've done that now. There's nothing to be gained from having another one. I know what it's like. It may not float my boat, but some people will like it. I don't think it matters if we wouldn't have a particular beer for a second time. I don't think that matters.
No, and I think also there's something to be said for when you have beers now increasingly. If I hadn't had that beer after Rolling Papers for purposes of doing this, and I'd have opened my fridge and found it in there and thought, oh, could really do with lager, and had it in that instance, might have been very different.
Yeah.
For it to follow Rolling Papers was probably a tough act. The Dipper I'm warming to now.
Yeah, we're sort of sitting on the fence with a couple of them, but the overarching thing for me is that the original Rolling Papers is still an awesome beer.
Yes, and what I've taken away from it is that the next time I'm thinking, I'd like to place an order for some beer, I think it might be Bullhouse. So in that instance, this has worked, hasn't it? It's hype.
Yeah.
Because it's reminded me how good Bullhouse beers are, and it makes me want to have more in my fridge. So I think from that perspective, it's a win.
Daft About Craft, the craft beer podcast.